What is going on, coin traders and algo fam? Thanks for joining me for the show today. I wanted to go ahead and look at the current measure for Algorand governance. Now, pretty much this only is going to apply if you are signed up for community governance right now, but if you haven't done so yet, this might be a great opportunity to learn what you might be in for in the future should you ultimately end up choosing to participate in Algorand Community Governance. So we know that there's going to be at least one measure every period right now, and we are active right now, so this is the voting period. It did start about 2 days ago, and so yeah, you can see we have a little over 11 days left, with the cooldown being called on November 14th. Was actually surprised to see how much participation we have so far, so we're looking at almost 40,000 governors participating. And right now we are looking at Measure B being about a 2-to-1 favorite over Measure A. So we're going to dive into both of these, talk about what they actually are, how they will impact the future, things to possibly and potentially consider. And then as well, I'm also going to be showing how to connect your wallet and actually participate in this vote. And then you'll get to see how I am personally voting as well. And I'll be explaining exactly why I am choosing to do so. So before we dive into anything super sexy or cool right now, I wanted to just go ahead and look at governance stats right now. We are looking at a total of 68,500 governors, so you can see that with 39,000 already voting, we basically have about a little less than halfway with about 30,000 left to go. And overall, for a total, we have lost almost 6 million algos so far. So if we do look at the start, back when governance started on the 14th of October, initial commitment for a lockup and staking for governance was at 1,886,463,826. So now we are substantially less than that. But overall, it hasn't really impacted your rate of return too much. So we went from 3.18% to 3.19 now. And since we are just now in the first voting period, all of this lockup or these forfeited algo basically are coming from wallets that haven't maintained their balance. So I am personally anticipating that some governors are actually going to miss the vote, and that'll also help to push down the overall committed stake. So since there are two requirements to participating and being a governor, both maintaining that wallet balance and also participating in the voting, this is going to be the second big event that's going to see a lot of governors just fall off. And we are still expecting a steady trail off for the rest of the period, as a lot of balances aren't maintained across the network. So that is just something that I needed to remind everyone that you need to make sure to participate in voting if you do want to actually get your governance rewards and end up being eligible for those at the end of the period, which does close at the end of December. All right, so without too much further ado, we will be diving into option A and option B, and as well as how to actually make your vote. So got a lot to cover in today's show, and if you are ready to dive all into Algorand governance and this first measure, you know what to do. Smash that free like button. Let's all go. Yeah, so like I said, I was a little bit shocked to see that already we're looking at almost 40,000 governors having voted already. So if you are one of those people, this video doesn't really apply to you. It applies to the rest of the people voting, and also anyone interested in participating in future governance. This is definitely going to be a good walkthrough of what you can actually anticipate, since you are going to be able to expect at least one measure to vote on for each governance period. So first things first, do want to dive into what both options are. So starting with option A, this is talking about keeping the current system. So governance rewards amount to, for 2022, will ultimately end up being about 70.5 million per quarter, while maintaining the current simple locking mechanism. Now, the big point about option A is that we are looking at a less of a reward pool, and governors who fail to maintain their wallet balance or fail to vote in the required voting periods will actually lose their rewards that they've been allocated, but ultimately you're not going to have any other fees or penalties besides that. Now, option B, which is leading 2-to-1 right now, and essentially we're looking at higher rewards, but also with a penalty if in fact you do fail to perform your duties as a governor. So effectively, we will be looking at boosting the reward pool by about 20 million algo per quarter or per governance period. And the key difference here is that we do have an 8% slashing of committed algo. So essentially, whatever you do claim and stake when you are offering up how much you would like to allocate for participation in the governance program, if you fail to maintain that amount of balance in your wallet, or you fail to vote on any of the required measures, you are going to be subject to that 8% penalty for all of that committed amount of algo. Now, one additional thing about measure B, or the option B on this first measure, is that we do have to have some sort of allocation to figure out where the increase in algos are going to come from. And so essentially we are going to have that amount subtracted equally over the next 3 years, which does account to 12.5 million algo per year, which is going to be taken off the 2023 to 2025 allocations for Algorand. So in the current period right now, we're looking at 60 million Algorand being allocated for the governance period. So either way, we're going to be getting an increase over what we're experiencing this current quarter. However, if option B does pass, then we will be looking at this 60 being multiplied by a 50% increase actually, or slightly a little bit more, since now we'll be looking at about 90.5 million. Now, there has been a lot of discussion that option A is going to be better for long-term growth of Algorand, and one of the things behind that is that option A actually makes it a little bit easier to maintain significant reward rates out to 2030, so it's a little bit better for that longer-term growth. Another thing about option A is that the lack of penalties or slashing is going to be one of the key features that will attract new governors and retain existing governors, so they claim anyway, and this will be in support of longer-term development for the ecosystem. So one of the things to note about option A is that the Algorand Foundation is actually in support of option A, and we will talk about a way to make sure all your votes are aligning with what the foundation ultimately recommends as their best advice for how to proceed. And so we'll cover that here in a second when we do talk about connecting your wallet and actually making the vote. So now regarding option B, which a lot more people are attracted to right now since we are leading 2-1 and obviously higher rewards means a lot more interest. One of the things about that though is that the governors need to send 8% of the committed quantity to an escrow account and basically committing that the balance of their wallet will remain at a level or equal to the remaining committed quantity during the entire governance period. Now, if you are one of those governors who fails to perform any of your duties, such as maintaining that wallet balance or voting on any of the proposed measures, then that 8% escrow quantity is going to be recovered into the AERP or Algorand Ecosystem Resource Pool. So it is a little bit more of that reward that you get, but it also is a lot more at stake since you are going to be penalized for not participating. Now, personally, I think that it is a little bit better to maintain a lot more of that incentive. And because right now there's not really an incentive to actually be that governor besides just collecting your rewards, this will actually help to provide a little bit more motivation. And additionally, one of the benefits about option B as well is that it will create a little bit more of that lockup for that online stake. So in the current environment anyway, if we did see the price of Algo, for example, just rally and have extreme gains and 5x or whatever, then a lot of people are going to be not really caring if they lose their governance rewards, because there will be a lot more selling pressure because there's not effectively that ultimate lockup. So personally, I think that it's a little bit better for the price to actually maintain a little bit more of that lockup period, in addition to getting a little bit more of that incentivized voting, because you are going to require governors who actually lock up a lot of their funds when they actually see that big spike and huge price action to the upside. We're going to know that a lot of governors are going to be forced to stay in or make that sacrifice of whether or not they do want to lose that 8% to sell and take some profits. So it really is going to be a little bit more of that decision-making process for a lot of the governors. But ultimately, I think anyone who is serious about the project and being a governor is going to have no problem ultimately locking up performing their duties and collecting a lot more of those higher rewards. Now, another thing about the option B is that, like we mentioned, it will ultimately end up taking from a little bit more of the algos that would be released otherwise down the road. So we might see a little bit more of a flood into the supply, but keep in mind, we're only talking about 20 extra million algos a year, which is less than 100 million, only a little bit. So it would only end up being about 82 million released into the ecosystem over the whole course of the year. But we do know that that will be coming off on the back end, which will help to create a little bit more of that scarcity and that shortage for that supply shock down the road in the future, which is something else, in my opinion anyway, that's going to be a little bit more beneficial for this price. So that's pretty much your run through of option A and option B. We are looking at option A being a little bit less rewards for no penalty if you do fail to meet your duties as a governor. Option B is if you do want to sign up for a governance, you will be getting a little bit more rewards, but also will be a little bit more expected to perform your duties. Otherwise, you will acknowledge that you are going to be sacrificing those committed staked algos. But personally, I don't think it's going to be that much of an issue and a problem. Just make sure you're doing your due diligence and always staying on top of things if that is an important priority for you. So with that, do want to actually move into the next part right now, which is about connecting your wallet and actually making your vote to ensure that you are participating and that you're still eligible for all your rewards. So first thing you are going to need to do is go onto the website right now. It is still governance.algorand.foundation. And once you get to the page, first thing you are going to do is click on Connect Wallet. Now, this is pretty much going to be the same as when you connected your wallet to actually sign up for governance. So process is still going to be the same. In my case, I am going to be using Algorand Wallet. Once I click on that, we are going to be getting a barcode. So going into your app right now, once you put in your PIN code, you will be at your main screen. And at the very bottom right-hand corner is going to be a little hexagon. Go ahead and click on that. And once you are inside of that settings menu, the third option down is going to be Wallet Connect Sessions. So go ahead and click on that. Once you're inside of Wallet Connect Sessions, you are going to need to go up to the right-hand corner. There is going to be a little barcode scanner for your QR code. Go ahead and tap on that. And that will go ahead and bring up your scanner right now. So go ahead and scan that QR code that's on your screen right now. Once the application has scanned that QR code, you're going to get a little message basically confirming that you are going to be connecting your wallet. Go ahead and click Connect. Once that happens, you can see in the app right now that you are connected with that wallet, and on the application or the website as well, you do need to go ahead and select the wallet that you are going to be using. So we are going to go ahead and click Use here, and as you can see in the upper right-hand corner, my wallet is now connected. So since I am successfully confirmed and signed up, you can see my status is still eligible. We are getting a little notification that we have to complete our voting session. So from there, under voting sessions, we do just click Open to Vote. And this is where we are going to get all of the details on the measure. Now, earlier in the show, I did talk about how you can ultimately vote with the foundation. So there is going to be a little link right above measure. All you have to do is just click on that and basically click on Submit Votes. From there, the process will be as follows too, and we're going to catch up to that in a second, but that will be how you do ultimately vote with the foundation. And so one of the things about this, though, is that you will need to do this for every vote. So this isn't going to be an automatic thing. But it basically is just you entrusting the foundation to make the best decision for the community. So it's definitely a nice, viable option for a lot of people. Now, scrolling down a little bit, we are going to be given our options right now. So if we don't click on Vote to all topics with a foundation, then we are going to need to select either option A or option B. Like I mentioned, personally, I'm a little bit more in favor of option B because I do expect a little bit more rewards to be better. And also a little bit more motivating, and a little bit more of that penalty is going to be a little bit more motivating as well to have a lot more participation. And also, in addition, like we said, creating a little bit more of that supply shock in the future. And I do think that having a little bit more of that lockup is going to be better for the price overall because there's not necessarily an actual lockup otherwise. So this will be a little bit better to force a little bit more of that supply shock. So this is how I'm voting right now. So go ahead and make your selection. In my case, I am selecting B. Once that happens, I'm going to come down here on the bottom right and click Submit Your Votes. Once that happens, you are going to be given a transaction in your wallet right now, so you will have to flip back over to that and click on Confirm. Basically, this is just going to be signing the Zero Algo transaction, which is going to contain your actual vote. Now, before your transaction actually goes through, you will be getting a warning message that is going to verify that you do want to accept that transaction. Keep in mind, it is just a Zero Algo transaction as well, so make sure that you go ahead and accept that. And then once you click Success and the transaction has processed across the network, you will see at the very bottom Success and 1 of 1 completed. So knowing that your voting form has been submitted and you have Be Complete, we can then go back to the main governance homepage, do a refresh of the page, and you can see that you have voted in all voting sessions and that we will collect our rewards keep in mind too, as long as this balance maintains in that wallet. So as you can see, this is a pretty simple process and you do get plenty of time to make your decisions. So this is another reason that I think that having an 8% slashing is not a bad thing, because it should be fairly easy to maintain that balance and also participate in all of the votes that we do have for the upcoming future for the different measures and all of that. Wouldn't be a proper algo video too if we didn't actually look at the price here. So just going to cover this really quick, and we have just been going down this very nice tight channel right now with the heartline at about 180 to 185 and seeing a lot of resistance still coming in at 190 with the exception of this little false breakout where we then pulled back and still maintained 50 period EMA. So holding this 50 period EMA is going to be a very nice sign of strength right now, especially since if we zoom in, you can see that all exponential moving averages are barely but still maintaining a bullish formation, 12 on top, 26, and the 50 bringing up the rear, holding very nice closing support for this daily chart for Algo. So I wanted to turn on the Bollinger Bands really quick here. You can see we are getting a little bit tight, but the false breakout here did kind of screw with the Bollinger Bands. Otherwise, we would have continued to taper off and started to get a lot tighter. So effectively, that is still what I am expecting. And we know that with tightening Bollinger Bands and a tightening price range overall in general, we are still going to be looking for a very nice breakout, either bullish or hopefully not bearish here coming in. But like we mentioned, with accelerated vesting already complete and a lot more attention for great projects and announcements, solid fundamentals, and all of that stuff, I definitely think this crypto space is just extremely bullish right now, and we will get that very nice pump and breakout to the upside here. Definitely been frustrating having to be this patient, though, waiting for an ultimate breakout, since we have been looking at over a month and a half, 56 days, going on 2 months of more or less just some sideways trading along this longer area, but ultimately maintaining this 180 level as a very nice heart line for this consolidation period. I am definitely extremely happy with that. A little bit of fun price speculation here, and since Solana has flipped Cardano ADA today, I wanted to go ahead and do a comparison right now for what Algorand would be with the number 5 market cap, which is what Solana is sitting at right now, and we would need to see a 6x gain in order to actually get that market cap of over 68.4 billion. So with that, that would ultimately put the price at 1102 with current rates. And I'm still very much in the belief that this bull cycle, we should be able to see a price around that would be my ultimate longer term target. But that is still pretty speculative and extremely euphoric, and obviously all of our hopium and all of that stuff. So yeah, as of time of recording, just a little bit over 11 days left for all of your votes to go in. So make sure you do go ahead and submit those votes so you don't run out. Hopefully I have provided a little bit more clarification and guidance what the measures are and the benefits, pros, and cons to each of them. Definitely let me know down below if you do have any questions, and also would love to hear what a lot of you are going to be voting for as well and your thoughts on each of the options. And so with that, that is going to go ahead and wrap up the show today on Algorand and the governance measure, the first voting anyway. Hope you did enjoy the show today and got some value out of it for the upcoming vote. If you did, please hit that thumbs up, like, and subscribe button if you haven't done so just yet. Also, do make sure to post those questions, comments, issues, disagreements, and what you are voting for down below. Love getting back to each and every one of you. That is it for now, though, so stay safe, take care, everyone, and I will catch you back in the next video.